We all love a good rags to riches story. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Congratulations, you're an overnight success. How many of these stories have we seen, have we read, have we heard, have we watched, have we experienced through other people where somebody has gone from absolutely rags, washing cars, or been a drug addict, or, Mr. Pillow was I think was he a crack addict? I don't remember, or some kind of an addict, and now he's a multimillionaire who sells pillows on television, right? And he's one of the world's darlings because he went from rags to riches, right? He went from being a struggling addict to an overnight success. Now, we all love those stories, but one of the things I've learned from being online that's really speeded up my understanding of the whole rags to riches overnight success thing is being on the internet, seeing the stories and how they're presented. And marketing is all about sharing stories, the stories of brands, the stories of people, the stories of influencers. It's about sharing stories and telling a story. And every story we see and are told about an overnight success, it's not a lie, but it's just that. It's a story, just like a television show, reality TV or something, where they take out the bits and pieces that are the most entertaining. It's like when you write a book or when you read a book. You don't read absolutely every detail of what happened to the characters or the people in the book. You just read the highlights. It's like the highlight reel, which social media for the most part is everybody's highlight reel. Yet we forget that because we only see the high points of their life that they post. So overnight success, I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but there really is no such thing. Unless somebody wins the lottery, which is just plain luck, which is very, very rare, by the way, and it seldom, if ever, lasts. There's really no such thing as an overnight success. Everybody you meet, if you dig into and find their story, and you can name absolutely anyone, and if you haven't dug into it, I'll dig into it and prove to you that they were not an overnight success. They weren't just born and then they lived a normal life, and then one day from point A to point Z, they were this massive, huge success. Everything that we do and want to achieve in our life, it's a journey, and it takes work, and it takes effort, and it takes us really wanting it and going after it and working toward it by taking steps toward it. It doesn't always feel like work. When it's something we love, it doesn't necessarily feel like work. But it's interesting that the harder you work, the luckier you get. The more effort you put toward moving toward your dream or your desire, and then as you're achieving it, people will look at you and say, oh my God, they came out, he or she came out of nowhere. She's an overnight success. He's an overnight success. He made his fortune like in 2 years when it takes other people 20 or 30 years. And what you'll not see when you hear the stories, when you see the highlight reels, is the 20 years of preparation that the person went into to finally click and have that one thing that took off and was really successful. But it was all those years of preparation that were required so that they could become the person they needed to be in order to handle that level of success and that level of notoriety or influence or whatever, however they and you and I define success, because it's different for each and every one of us. All of our lives are journeys of ups and downs. And one of the things I do in the Get Up and Go Challenge, and I have for the last couple of times, the 30-day one, is we do a Lifeline exercise. And of course I don't have one here. It's upstairs because I'm writing a book. But all it is you, on a piece of paper, this is a really tiny version of your Lifeline exercise. You put the year you're born, and then you put today's date. So what's today's date? Something 2020, right? So 2020, and you can just do years, especially if you're like me and you've been around for a lot of years. You want to, make it not too, use bigger increments. And then the year you're born. So I was born in 1960, and it's now 2020. Boy, that's not a straight line, but that's not how our life goes either, right? And what you do is on this map or this line, it's just like a timeline, like you learned in school how to do a timeline, where when you're doing wars or battles, or you're learning something in history is where I remember us doing timelines the most. Or in science too, we did timelines about different discoveries. You'd map out and you'd put the time, the different dates on, and then the highlights or the lowlights of what happened at that particular date. That's actually also a secret way to learn and remember big events and when things happen and dates and things in school. Actually drawing out timelines helped me personally to remember different things that I needed to learn for tests and things. Well, the same is true for our life. We can map out our life as a timeline by pinpointing the high points and the low points, because guess what? Our life isn't this nice straight line up to success, right? Wouldn't it be nice if it was? I can't even see what I'm doing. It's not a nice straight line up to success. To get to the top of the mountain of what we want is here, and we start out here. We all start out pretty much at neutral, right? We start out, we're born. Some people a little below neutral or normal or average, other people a little above normal or average. If you're born into a really super duper wealthy and advantaged family, you might start out a little higher than other people. But guess what? That doesn't matter, because we're all born as blank slates, blank little human beings, and it's up to each and every one of us to decide what we're going to do with that life and what we're going to create. Because there's a lot of people that were born with all of these advantages that squandered them, and there's just as many people that were born with no advantages or disadvantages that have created magnificent things with their life, and they've made the world a better place just because they've been here and existed. So the timeline exercise we'll talk about in detail during the challenge, but for right now, so you get an idea, when you were born, high points, low points, and you just map out your life. Is your life trending upward? We all want our lives to be trending upward toward what we want, right? That is how we move toward success. And again, success is determined only by us. Some people that the outside world and everyone else would consider an amazing success, they consider their lives a failure. Think of all of the famous people who have committed suicide when they were at the top of their career or the game, and everyone outside them looking in would say, oh my God, they're overnight success, they've got it made. You know, think of John Belushi, think of Elvis, right? Think of, oh my gosh, there's so many famous people that we could talk about that everybody would have agreed that they had this blessed, wonderful, amazing life, yet they took their own life. I think Robin Williams was one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, and I actually met him, and he, you know, had lived with lifelong depression, and most people didn't know that, and so they were surprised when he actually committed suicide. So overnight success, just like anything else in our lives, it's just the tip of the iceberg, what other people see. And where we get into trouble with these overnight success stories, at least I found I was even feeling a little bit of it when I first went from the offline world to the online world and was trying to get my ducks in a row. I knocked a duck down. I felt the compelling pull of comparison, comparing myself to other people. And I was like, okay, well, if so-and-so has done this already and they did this in this short amount of time, why is it taking me years? I do a daily journal of my transition from the brick and mortar world into the corporate world to the online world. I think today is day 964. So 964 days in a row, at least, I have been documenting my journey to go from the offline world to the online world. And there's a lot of days I think, well, 964 days, or even at 100 days and 300 days and 200 days, I would find myself comparing myself to other people and saying, well, so-and-so just had a launch and made $1 million. Why haven't I made $1 million with my launch yet? So-and-so, someone else did a webinar and they made 6 figures in a week in their webinar. Why haven't I done that? So-and-so is doing challenges, and I've been doing challenges for decades. Why am I not making $1 million every time I do a challenge when, you know, so-and-so is making millions and millions of dollars with their challenges? Well, because each and every one of us has our own unique journey. And guess what? All of those people, all of those stories, all of those are not comparing apples to apples. Whenever we compare ourselves to other people, and it almost never comes out well for us, right? Because we compare ourselves where we're failing to them where they're succeeding. We forget that there's probably a whole lot of other areas and aspects of their life that they're not 100% successful and happy and satisfied with, but we don't ever see that whole big picture. So next time you're tempted to compare yourself to someone else, anyone else in your industry or outside of it, for any area or aspect of your life, remind yourself that we don't know, and you don't know, and I don't know what it took for them to achieve the result that we see. You know, I know people that get really upset when they go on social media and they see other people, like people they went to school with or went to high school with, doing things and doing different things and achieving different things, or having grandkids even. And I'm like that's a competition. and they get all upset about it, or, you know, going on vacations or doing different things or buying new houses, whatever it might be. And they compare their journey, their experiences to that, and then they feel bad. Never a good thing, right? Because we don't know, you don't know, I don't know what it took for each individual to actually get the thing that they're showing us and highlighting us in social media. So next time you think that anyone's an overnight success, remember that we are all just works in progress, and everybody's on a journey, their own journey, and it's going to be different for each and every one of us. And that it's up to us to not compare ourselves to other people and just to continue to strive to be the best version of ourselves at any given time. That's it. That's our setup for success today as we get ready for the next Get Up and Go Challenge, October 1st through 31st, right here on the Get Up and Go Challenge page. Join us for guaranteed better results after any change or challenge that you face than before. So that going through the 30-day challenge, I teach you a process that guarantees that you will install it in your subconscious, and every time you're faced with a change or challenge, you'll run through that process, and that will guarantee that you are better off after the change than had you not experienced the change and used the process. All right, have an amazing day. If I can help in any way, any questions, any stories, any thoughts, queries about overnight successes, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow with another lesson learned in my 60 years of trial and error, making mistakes, banging my head against the wall, and figuring things out. One of those was, hey, nobody's an overnight success. And I would love to know if you know somebody who's actually, and indeed, because I am still looking, every day I'm out looking to see if anyone really truly is a overnight success. Hey, I never did anything up until now, and then all of a sudden I'm this massive success. All right, that's it. Have an amazing day, and I'll of course be with you tomorrow.